The roar of my motorcycle echoed down the dark highway as I cruised through the empty stretch of road. The night was unusually still, the air thick with an eerie silence. Suddenly, I spotted her, a girl stumbling onto the side of the road, waving her arms frantically. Her disheveled hair and the terror in her eyes screamed trouble. Instinct kicked in. I slowed down, pulling up beside her. "Hey, what's going on? Are you okay?" I asked, my voice cutting through the darkness. She hesitated, her eyes darting behind her like someone, or something, was chasing her. "Please, I need help. My car. It broke down and I think someone's following me." My training as a retired soldier kicked in immediately. This wasn't just some damsel in distress. Something about her fear felt raw, real. Without another word, I gestured for her to hop on the back of my bike. As soon as she climbed on, headlights appeared in the distance, coming fast. The car's engine roared like a predator closing in on its prey. "Hold on tight," I said, revving the engine. We shot off down the highway, the car closing in behind us. My adrenaline spiked as I weaved through the narrow lanes, pushing my bike to its limits. "Who's after you?" I yelled over the wind. She gripped my jacket tighter. "I don't know. They've been following me since the gas station." We reached a fork in the road. I veered onto a gravel path leading into the woods, hoping to lose our pursuers. The car skidded to a stop behind us, its driver reluctant to follow. The girl's breathing was ragged, and I could feel her trembling. "Stay here," I said, pulling out my concealed weapon. I crept back toward the car, staying low in the shadows. The driver's window rolled down, revealing a man in a black suit. "Come out, girl. You can't run forever." Before I could react, the man's phone rang. He answered, his face hardening. "Yes, sir. We lost her." "No, I'll find her." As the car sped away, I returned to the girl. "Care to explain what's going on?" Her lips trembled as she spoke. "I can't. If I do, you'll be in danger too." "Too late for that," I said. "They already saw me." We found temporary refuge in an old cabin deep in the woods. As we settled in, I pressed her for answers. Her name was Emily, and she was the daughter of a billionaire CEO. My father made enemies, dangerous ones. They're trying to use me to get to him. Her voice cracked as she continued. "He always told me to trust no one, but I had no choice tonight. I didn't know who else to turn to." Her words hit me harder than I expected. They dredged up memories I'd buried deep, of a mission gone wrong, of lives lost because of betrayal. I'd left the military to escape that darkness, but now it felt like I was being dragged back into it. The old cabin creaked under the weight of the night's silence. I stared at Emily as she nervously paced the room, biting her fingernails. "Emily," I said firmly, "if I'm going to help you, I need the full truth. No more half answers." She stopped, her shoulders sagging. "Fine. My father isn't just the CEO. He's involved in shady dealings. I don't know all the details, but he told me that if something ever happened, I'd need to disappear. And these guys? They're after him, not you." I pressed. She shook her head. "No, they want me. I'm the leverage they need to force him to cooperate." I leaned back against the wall, my mind racing. This wasn't a simple case of a girl running from trouble. This was a full-blown manhunt. I needed to think like a soldier again. "If they're tracking you, we need to figure out how. Do you have your phone on you?" Her eyes widened. "Yes, but—" "Give it to me," I demanded. She hesitated, then handed it over. Sure enough, there was a tracking app running in the background. I crushed the phone under my boot, the crunching sound echoing in the small cabin. "We can't stay here," I said. "I know a guy, someone who owes me a favor. He might be able to help. Can we trust him?" Emily asked, doubt clouding her voice. "We don't have a choice," I replied. We headed out before dawn, the forest around us eerily quiet. My contact, Marcus, lived in a secluded safe house a few towns over. He was a former intelligence officer, and the only person I trusted with something like this. Marcus greeted us with his usual gruff demeanor. "You're bringing trouble to my doorstep, aren't you?" he said, eyeing Emily warily. "Just need a place to lay low and some intel," I replied. He nodded, motioning us inside. As Marcus worked his magic on his computer, Emily stayed close, her anxiety palpable. After a few tense minutes, Marcus turned to us. "You're dealing with some serious players. These guys work for a private organization, mercenaries for hire. If they're after her, it's not just for ransom. They want to send a message. The weight of Marcus's words hit me like a ton of bricks. A message to who? I asked, though I already knew the answer. Her father, Marcus confirmed. They're going to hurt her to make him comply. Or worse. Emily's face paled. We have to stop them. I knew we couldn't rely on running forever. Emily, if they find us again, you'll need to know how to defend yourself. She hesitated. I've never fought anyone before. You're going to learn, I said. Over the next few days, I taught her basic self-defense, how to disarm an attacker, how to use her surroundings to her advantage. Despite her initial reluctance, she caught on quickly. Our peace didn't last long. Late one night, the sound of tires crunching on gravel woke me. I peered through the window and saw headlights approaching. They found us, I whispered. Marcus armed himself, while I grabbed Emily. Stay close to me, I instructed. The mercenaries stormed the safe house, guns blazing. It was chaos, shattered glass, deafening gunfire, and the smell of gunpowder filled the air. We barely escaped, slipping into the dense woods under the cover of darkness. We ran for what felt like hours, the cold biting at our skin. Finally, we found shelter in an abandoned barn. Emily collapsed onto the floor, tears streaming down her face. I can't do this anymore, she sobbed. They're going to catch us. I knelt beside her, gripping her shoulders. Listen to me. You're stronger than you think. You've made it this far, and I'm not going to let them take you. As the days passed, our bond deepened. Emily opened up about her childhood, her strained relationship with her father, and her fears. I shared pieces of my own past, how I lost my team in a failed mission, the guilt that haunted me every day. Maybe you were meant to find me, she said one night, her voice soft. Or maybe we're just two lost souls trying to survive, I replied. Marcus managed to regroup with us, bringing valuable intel. I found a way to hit them where it hurts, he said, spreading out a map on the barn floor. Their base of operations isn't far from here. If we can destroy their communication hub, we'll buy ourselves some time. The barn became our war room. Marcus laid out the plan with precision, detailing every move. Their communication hub is guarded, but nothing you can't handle, he said, smirking at me. Emily, however, wasn't convinced. This is insane. What if we fail? I placed a hand on her shoulder. We won't fail. Fear is normal, but we can use it. They don't expect us to fight back. Under the cover of darkness, we approached the mercenary base. Marcus had managed to forge fake credentials, allowing us to slip past the perimeter disguised as workers. The tension was palpable as we navigated through the heavily guarded compound. Emily stayed close, her wide eyes scanning the area. I could see the fear in her, but she held it together. Just stick to the plan, I whispered. Reaching the communication hub, Marcus got to work planting explosives. I kept watch, my senses on high alert. Suddenly, footsteps echoed down the hallway. I motioned for Emily to hide. Two guards appeared, their conversation casual, until they spotted me. Without hesitation, I sprang into action, taking them down swiftly and silently. Emily emerged from her hiding spot, her eyes wide. How did you? Training, I replied, wiping sweat from my brow. Let's move. With the explosives in place, we made our escape. The sound of the explosion shook the ground beneath us, flames lighting up the night sky. Chaos erupted as mercenaries scrambled to contain the fire. Let's go, Marcus shouted, leading us to a hidden vehicle. As we sped away, Emily glanced back at the burning compound. Did we do enough? She asked. For now, I said, but this is far from over. The strike on their base disrupted their operations, but it also painted a target on our backs. The mercenaries doubled their efforts to find us. Tensions ran high as we moved from safe house to safe house, always one step ahead of them. One night, as we rested in a secluded motel, Marcus received a call. His expression darkened as he listened. After he hung up, he avoided my gaze. Something was off. Later that evening, I overheard him on another call. I'll bring them to you. Just make sure the money's ready. My blood ran cold. Marcus had sold us out. I confronted Marcus, my fists clenched. You betrayed us. He sighed, his shoulders slumping. You don't understand. They threatened my family. I had no choice. Everyone has a choice, I said, my voice cold. Before he could respond, the sound of vehicles approaching filled the air. The mercenaries were here. The fight that followed was brutal. Bullets flew as I protected Emily, my military training, the only thing keeping us alive. Marcus tried to redeem himself, but he was outmatched. In the end, we barely escaped, leaving Marcus behind. The betrayal shook Emily to her core. How can we trust anyone? She asked, her voice trembling. You trust actions, not words, I said. And I promise, I'll get you through this. Her eyes softened, but the doubt lingered. I couldn't blame her. In a world this dangerous, trust was a luxury. With Marcus gone, we needed help. I reached out to an old friend, a fellow veteran named Jake. Jake had connections and a knack for getting out of impossible situations. You've gotten yourself into quite the mess, he said when we met. But I'll help you, for old time's sake. Jake brought a fresh perspective to our fight. If they're after her, let's give them a reason to regret it, he said, outlining a plan to expose the mercenaries organization. Emily, though scared, found her courage. I want to help, she said. I can't keep running. The plan was risky, but necessary. We leaked information that would lure the mercenaries into a trap. Jake and I prepared for a fight, while Emily played a key role in exposing their operations to the authorities. When the mercenaries arrived, they were met with a coordinated attack. It was a fierce battle, but we had the upper hand. By the time the authorities arrived, the mercenaries were in disarray. The experience changed Emily. She went from a frightened girl to someone strong and resilient. You've been my rock through all of this, she said to me. I don't know how I'll ever repay you. You don't have to, I replied. Just live your life. With the mercenaries dismantled, Emily reunited with her father, who was overwhelmed with gratitude. You saved my daughter's life, he said, offering me a reward. I don't do this for money, I replied. Just keep her safe. As I rode away from their estate, I felt a strange sense of peace. I'd faced my demons and found purpose again. Emily's survival was my redemption, a reminder that even in the darkest times, there's light to be found.